Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this week's installment of our Meet the Chief series. We are honored to be sitting here today with Chief Master Sergeant Retired Eric Strohecker. Good to have you. Welcome.
Hey, well, thanks so much. I appreciate the invite. Especially, I've seen some of these series before, and all those illustrious chiefs that have preceded me in this series. It'll be hard to live up to their standard.
I don't think we'll have much problem with that. Let's just jump right into it. Tell us a little bit about your hometown, your roots, and how you got into the Air Force as a bandsman.
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny. I actually I ended up my last assignment close to my home. I actually came from Columbus, Ohio, and I started out. It's kind of funny. I always wanted to play tuba. The problem was, I had an older brother and younger sister. And I was the middle kid. Nobody paid any attention to me. So I figured if I played the biggest instrument in the band, they couldn't miss me. So it worked.
I bet.
So I started tuba with a wonderful college professor at Audubon College. I think it's Audubon University now, Gary Tyree. He was an amazing person, amazing tuba player, a great bass singer. And he also ran the bands over there at Audubon, which allowed me the opportunity to actually start performing with the college kids by the time I was in 10th grade. So it was an amazing experience musically. It's amazing to watch him work because he did things in a big regional basis. When he did a project or he did events, they were always regional. Now, following that, I went ahead and went to IU. I studied a course with Harvey Phillips, probably the greatest tuba player, is certainly the progenitor of our instrument, who put it on the map. He's just an amazing person. Everything he did was on a national scale. So I think that really set me up well for getting ready for an Air Force career, especially all those event-oriented things. Musically, it was wonderful. I had a great education. I couldn't have been luckier, but once I started in the Air Force, it was fantastic, especially because I started at Langley Air Force Base with Captain Graham at the time, now Colonel Graham, retired. It was a great experience. We played some amazing music. The band was it was awesome. So couldn't have asked for a better start to an Air Force career.
That's awesome. How long was your Air Force career before you retired?
30 years altogether, 30 years and 11 days.
Wow, that's
right. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, from beginning to end. I only got one assignment that I actually asked for. All the others are like unexpected or, well, you're going.
What was the assignment you wanted that you asked for?
I wanted a return assignment to Japan. And it's especially difficult because I was in Germany at the time, and try to get things to line up was not easy, but it did. So very, very lucky and fortunate. Matter of fact, I think, about 14 years of my career was spent overseas.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a wonderful exposure to people and culture, other cultures throughout the world. So it was terrific. I wouldn't have traded it for anything.
What are some things that you can say you learned from the experience of playing for people of other cultures and experiencing their culture and giving them a taste of what we do and what we're about? How did that impact you?
Well, it's interesting how flexible most other cultures and people are. As long as you came together, gave them a quality product, they appreciated it. Especially overseas, there seems to be a greater appreciation for music, for music's sake, than for other purposes, utility sakes, like for dancing,
Right.
Or things like that. Is a great experience seeing that and experiencing it within those cultures and sharing our music with other cultures. We play some of their music, they play our music. It's a wonderful time. We did this one gig in Bangladesh, of all places, where we played, let's say that the Bangladeshi bands, the level was not quite at the high school level, because basically they take people, And they say at a basic training, say you and you and you're in the band with no prior experience. So
Right.
they would just train them from scratch, whether they wanted to play or not. Where of course here in the Air Force and many of our military bands, there's a fairly extensive, audition process. And especially in the Air Force, it's like you have to be ready to go. There's no time for training on the musical instrument itself. You got to be prepared.
I understand. That reminds me of basic training when you're in the band flight and
Yeah.
they throw a bunch of people in. Have you ever played a musical instrument in your life? And people say, I guess. And then you got a bunch of people on the bass drum and the cymbals
Right.
trying to get it together before the
Right.
end of training.
And we're trying to play those two valve keyed bugles. I do remember that. In the key of G, that was a challenge.
Oh boy. Oh boy. So
Yeah.
speaking of your long career, which eventually led to your retirement, how has retirement been treating you? What have you been doing? How was that transition for you?
Well, it started off, I always wanted to get an advanced degree. Finally, once the retirement hit, I had a chance to enter school. I went to Wright State University to get an MBA. I filled out a piece of paperwork. They said, "Do you want to be a graduate assistant?" So, well, I don't care. So I filled out the piece of paper, and lo and behold, they made me a graduate assistant. Worked for 3 different professors at Wright State in the business school. One in particular, was her main person, her main graduate assistant. She was only like 26 or 27, just freshly minted PhD.
Mm-hmm.
She'd come from Texas, and she just started at Wright State, and it's kind of fun for me because it's kind of like a second lieutenant.
Right.
You're just they're starting out fresh, they're learning how things work. So it was a good time. I had a great couple years there and finished up that degree. And then after that, took that business degree and started working over at the Dayton Performing Arts Alliance. And that's a pretty neat place, mainly because you have 3 arts organizations, the ballet, the Philharmonic, and the opera, all 3 working together under one organization. It's the only one in the United States.
Wow.
So that was a great opportunity to run operations to try get those schedules together, especially the schedules, try to get everyone to work together to make those productions, those wonderful productions. So that was a great 2.5 years. And currently I'm transitioning and looking into starting my own business. So we'll see how that goes.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Your musical career is exciting from start to finish. That's great. That's great that you had these opportunities within and without the Air Force. That's awesome. So when you were in the Air Force, what ensembles did you play in as a tuba player? What ensembles does a tuba player typically play in, and what are your favorite ensembles to play in?
Well, of course, the concert band was a blast. The first assignment with Colonel Graham, my God, we went through so much literature, especially the orchestral transcriptions. You know how it is as a tuba player, the orchestral mindset. It's like you get those few lines to play, and it's just so much. It's so great. It's so much fun, But I just couldn't stand sitting there counting all those bars of rest.
100 measures.
Yeah, to wait to play those couple of footballs is like, no. So I've always loved bands because, there's a lot of the work with transcriptions in addition to the marches and things written for bands. But it's so challenging to play that music and play it well. So it's a great career getting to do that kind of music, especially the first assignments, because we just went through such a massive amount of literature. It was really incredible. We did 2 separate programs every tour that we went out. So an A night and a B night. So obviously after the 2.5 years I was there, we went through a tremendous amount of stuff, and 9 recordings too. It was quite a time.
That's awesome. Awesome. So in all your years in the band, if you can think of one performance that is your most memorable or that impacted you the most, what would it be and why?
It's probably with Colonel Leindecker, it's the Berlin Airlift Show.
Hmm.
Uh, that was amazing just to see everyone come together to make that happen, because it happened. I mean, it's all original music, uh, and the production, everything was done within about 2 months span. And that was remarkable. I mean, because you have the stage production, you have all the music that needed to be written and performed, you had a chorus, you had people who came in with authentic costumes, or the authentic uniforms to wear. It was incredible. The lighting that came from, let's see, it was Robbins. It was just amazing what came together to make that production happen, to honor the Berlin airlift
Hmm.
at that time. And, you know, probably that more than anything else was one of the major events that we got to do that really hit home at telling the story, the Air Force story. Wonderful, wonderful event. It was tough, but we made it happen.
It sounds like a lot of work went into making it happen.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So, what would you say is your biggest takeaway as an Air Force bandsman, and advice that you would want to pass on to someone coming behind you?
Hmm. Well, I've always lived my life in a way that I always feel like I should step up and I should help. If I can help, I pitch in and do the best I can. It's kind of interesting because I never really worked on becoming a chief. In many respects, that just happened. The only thing I did really was I studied for the tests and I made sure that my personnel records were accurate. Other than that, I just spent my entire career just getting things done, helping people out. And to the best of my ability, if I didn't know how to do something, then I figured it out. Like when I was given publicity, for the first time in Japan, it's like, I had the challenge of, well, how do you lay out a publicity poster?
Right.
How do you write copy for things like that? I had no idea, and there was no one there to teach me. So, I dove in and found books and figured it out. So throughout my career, yeah, I've been challenged in many respects like that. Whether it was being the additional duty first sergeant, the resource advisor, the NCIC of supply, learning different computer programs. Especially, I was a newbie, and computers were newbies at that time too when I first started. So there's a lot to learn. And I just, the best you can do is just go in, dive in, and do the best you can to try to make a great product. For instance, just like what you all are doing right now with this kind of Chiefs corner that you're putting out. Without the coronavirus, this may have never happened.
Right, right.
You just be playing your instruments and singing and stuff, and this you would have never had time to be able to put something like this together. But now you've done something wonderful.
And I'm so
Look for those
thankful.
opportunities. Yeah.
I'm so thankful for it because it means a lot to me. It means a lot to be able to connect in this way with people that I normally wouldn't have the opportunity to connect with, and get another perspective that I may not be able to get otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it's all about, especially in these times when we're also disconnected.
Right.
How important it is to stay connected by any means in any way that we can. And it's kind of like when we spoke yesterday and you mentioned flexibility, and it's all about flexibility and innovation in
Mm-hmm.
times like these. So everything happens for a reason, and I'm just glad that we're able to do this, because it is very important.
Right. I always felt that, if I had time and I saw something that needed help, an event, especially events, many Air Force people have never been around organizing events. So we've got a lot of expertise in doing that sort of thing, and being able to loan that talent and those skills to help other events be successful is not only in their interest, it's usually in our interest too, because the bands are involved in those events, so we want them to run as smoothly as possible.
Yes, yes. Okay, so we've got a couple more questions, and then we're gonna wrap up. So as bandsmen in the Air Force, we spend a lot of time defending the purpose of our career fields, or explaining to people why they are necessary, and what impact
Mhm.
soft power has on the Air Force as a whole, or on the community. Could you kind of speak to that for us, and just what is the purpose of it all? What makes it important for the community?
Right. It's always at times it can be frightening to get that question. What do we need a band for?
Yes.
It's a valid question because it costs a tremendous amount of money to have bands. It does personnel as well as the logistics and everything else that goes with it. Um, you got to be prepared for that. You have to be able to tell the emotional impact. You can show people a picture, but what really does it is showing them the emotion that's generated through music, military music, whether it's playing in a base hospital. It could be an outreach event where you're a liaison with possibly an embassy overseas, and you're trying to make a cultural event so that leadership from the US and leadership from host countries can sit together, enjoy a cultural event of music, and then be able to, hopefully, through that common experience, be able to start working on more difficult and complicated problems in our relationships. That's really important. So being able to show videos, uh, pictures, and those sort of things, and having records of those sort of things is really important to maintain a library of those things. Because at any time, especially I think it's Chief Garcia now at the Pentagon, she may be required to say, answer that question: why do we need a band? And she needs those kind of products put together. And it could be at the Air Force level, but also at the MAGCOM level as well. You need a library of that kind of material.
Mm,
And not only your band, but all the bands sharing their best products. So
yeah.
when it comes time to put something together, a 5 to 10 minute, this is why we have bands. You've got the products. It's really, really important. So yeah, get a videographer, whatever, record what you're doing, and have people record the emotional impact of what you're doing, and show people. It's like, see, these people walk away from this concert and they're feeling proud, to be an American, and if we do that, we will win every single time. Make people feel proud to be Americans.
Yes, sir. That brings me to another thought of opportunity that we have now, that we always had, but we took for granted a little bit, and that's with our reach via social media and the internet. Because now, one of the things that I've noticed is across all the bands, how much bands have stepped up in creating those memorable products, like you just said, that are now archived. They're archived online. People can play them back, and they're
Right.
easily accessible. So it doesn't take anything now for someone to Google, you know, Air Force bands or military bands, and there's tons of product coming out
Right.
now from everyone because it's all we have. So it's
Right.
interesting to see.
Right, exactly. And it's great that, well, it's not great that we had the coronavirus, but it's great that you've actually got the time to think about these kind of things
Yes,
and put them together, figure out the technical aspects.
yes.
Some, jumping on these opportunities to create new products and new ways of going about doing business. In many respects, so that's wonderful because we were thinking these sort of things 20 years ago, but we never had the time or the expertise, to be able to put things like that together. But now you've got the time, you've got the technology, which is better and better. When they can make ensembles, play all together from different
Yeah,
locations, if they
yeah.
can make that work online live, then I think will really be amazing. But we'll see what Zoom or whoever else comes up with to make that happen.
They're gonna have to figure it out somehow, especially with the future of like band programs in school.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna figure something out.
Yeah, but still, that in-person connection, you just can't. There's no substitute for it.
You
There
know.
just is not. So we need to keep getting out there and performing for people in person. This
Yes,
is a
take
great
that,
stop.
everyone, so we can get out there.
This is a great stopgap, but we should take this experience and learn how we can capture what we're doing by using these products we're using like right now, so that we can tell the story of why we have music and art in our
Yes.
communities.
And it's my hope that once all this is over and we move past it, that we still adopt some of these same practices and, don't lose sight of it when we're back out touring
Yeah,
and performing for crowds.
yeah,
That's awesome.
absolutely.
Right. Okay, so we're about to end soon we're going to end on a light note.
Okay.
Okay. So one of the questions, or the last question, is about your most funny memory that you can think of when you were in the band. I think I heard a little birdie tell me a story about ice.
Well, and actually, it had to do with Chief Yates, your previous
Oh,
interviewee. Yes. I still remember it's the first assignment. First assignments are always the best assignments, probably because I was just busy playing and not doing a whole lot about anything else. But anyways, I remember we came back. It was a especially hot day. I think we were in North Carolina at the time, and the loading crew had come back. The artiste bus had already beat us back by an hour, and here comes the loading crew dragging in on a 15 packs van, just hot, sweaty, and nasty. And I remember John Yates, Chief Yates, up there on the balcony of the hotel, and he sees us getting out of the van and goes, "Hey guys, you hot?" And he chucks a couple pieces of ice at us. So we decided that we're going to pay back. Even though he's a staffer tech at the time, we're just little airmen. This is payback. So we went to our rooms and we emptied our trash cans and then went to the ice machine, filled them up, knocked on his door. And when he opened that door, there's about 9 or 10 of us there. We all threw our buckets of ice on him right there on the spot. And the best part is Chief Galt happened to be in the room with him at that time in the corner, talking to him about something when we doused him with all this ice. Yeah, I think he felt he got his just desserts.
oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that was fun. Sorry, Chief Yates. uh,
That's good stuff. Good stuff.
oh, yeah, so those memories, especially first assignments, always seem. I guess they're always the best.
A young airman with no worries at the time.
Yeah, pretty much. Just do your training. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for sitting with me today and having this conversation with me. We look forward to seeing this interview air. And again, just thank you for your time. I really appreciate you taking the time to sit with us because, again, like I said earlier, these stories are important and these connections are very valuable. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much for the invitation. I was happy to be here today with you.